Veronica Jimenez, New Concepts in Travel. And thank you for joining us. Today, I'll be your host for Conversations in Travel. And the topic for today would be, why do we travel? And I want to introduce the people that are on my panel. First of all, Steve Mason. He was, hi, how are you?
Well.
He was a flight attendant for TWA, and now he's a world traveler extraordinaire. Steve?
Yeah, you can say that. I've done an awful lot of traveling in my days, not only for business, but I've traveled for pleasure, and I've been to many, many places. I think Greece and France are my favorite places.
Great, great. And my next guest is Fabian Burrell. She's a diversity and inclusion program coordinator at Adelphi University. I met her many, many years ago, but not that long ago, when she was working for Continental Airlines.
Yes.
Welcome.
And thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure.
Great. And last but not least, James Saunders. And James Saunders is the owner and operator of Saunders Events and Travel. He specializes in cruises for the LGBT community. Welcome.
Well, thank you, panel, being part of the panel. I do cruises. I do all kinds of other events as well as outside of cruises, but that's what I do.
Great. Well, I want to start by asking you some questions. Fabian, let's start with you.
Okay.
Can you remember the first trip you ever took?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's only as if it was yesterday. I was about 14 years old, 15. I had a pen pal in Canada, and so one of my, I think it was for completing my studies at that time, my parents gave me a trip to visit her in Canada.
How was that?
It was in Kitchener and Galt. It was extremely interesting, and it was out of my comfort zone because here it was, she was white, and so all her friends and family were white, and here was this little black girl from Brooklyn, and needless to say, they treated me very well. I had a great time, but it really opened me up to the differences that we have and how when we start talking together, we have less differences and more in common.
How long did you stay?
I stayed for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And did everything. In fact, I think, can I say this on air? I think that was the first time that I saw people doing hash, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? I don't want it. No, thank you.
That was an experience.
It was quite.
Steve, what about you?
Well, my first trip was very memorable. It was many, many years ago, but the first time I was in an airplane was a 727 from Kennedy to St. Croix.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it was a quick flight, but it was my first flight, and it was one that stays with me forever.
Why is that?
Well, because it was my first flight, and I'm crazy about aviation. So it was my first time on an airplane. So the rush of the takeoff and the G-force of pushing you back in the seat, and the view from that height and that altitude was my first experience, and I've always wanted to do that.
Okay.
So being that it was my first time, the sights and the smells of that flight will never escape me.
Is that why you became a flight attendant?
Well, no, the reason why I became a flight attendant is because I wanted to learn how to fly.
Okay.
And as life goes on and time goes on, I missed the opportunity to do that. So the second best thing was to be on the plane. So as soon as I finished servicing the passengers in the back, the rest of the flight I spent in the cockpit.
Okay. Okay, James, your first travel experience.
I'm not extensive as his, but I can say that if I go way back years ago, I have Southern parents, and basically we always go down south every summer. Mm-hmm. And one year I decided to get on a bus myself and go on by myself at 13, 14 years old.
How was that?
That was an experience because I was nervous at first, but at the same time I knew I had to go, and when I got there, I had to go to, and down south, you have pit stops.
Right, okay.
So you get the pit stops, I called my aunt up and said, Marguerite, I'm here at the store. And she said, sure enough? And I said, yeah. And she came and got me, and that was, and then they have called back to New York, and because, oh, he got this, all right, all right. So, but at the same time, but that's one experience I can remember way back, and unfortunately, she's not here, but it gave me an opportunity to always want to explore, have adventure, do things that's out of the comfort zone sometimes, and there you go.
Well, going on to my next question, what was your favorite travel experience and why?
Recently I can say my favorite travel experience recently was going to Cuba.
Okay.
And I did go to Cuba, and I was more interested in going to Cuba because I want to go and see what all the hoopla is about, the negative hoopla is about, the negativity was about.
From all the press.
And I thought and I said, there's nothing wrong with being in Cuba. It was wonderful. The people there was embracing, they were loving, it was very, very Afrocentric, if you want, lack of a better word. I saw the museum. Every museum you could possibly see, we saw in that week that we were there. It was a week trip to Cuba. It was a cruise to Cuba, and we went to the Tropicana. We went to the jazz shows. I went to the hood, and hanged out with locals.
How was the food?
Food was wonderful.
Okay.
You can't go wrong with chicken, rice, and beans.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
Cuba is like everywhere else in the Caribbean. It's the same thing. Nothing different. Just that they have there's a political, it's the politics is different. But overall, it's all politics that cause the problems down there they have down there. But overall, the people wasn't. Some people don't want to never leave Cuba. That's how they love their country. So everyone has the right to be where they want to be at.
That's true. Steve?
Well, I would have to say my favorite trip was 1985.
Oh, you got the year, huh?
I took my mother to Cairo.
Oh, nice.
And the reason why that was so important for us, well, for me especially, is because years ago as a kid, Mom would have her little 4 chicks laid up in her lap and she'd read us Bible stories. And I remember distinctly the passages about Egypt in Exodus and about the pyramids. And I told her at that point in time that I'm going to take you there one day, and I got a chance to do that.
And I know she loved it.
So that is why that is my most memorable, most favorite trip out of all the trips that I've taken.
How long were you there for?
We were there for a week.
And you went to the
And
pyramids.
we stayed at a fabulous hotel, the Ramesses Hilton, right across from the museum. And the funny thing about it is we were eating in the restaurant of the hotel, and the maitre d' comes over to engage us in conversation. He notices that we are American, of course, and he asks us where we're from. And we said, we're from New York. He says, oh, really? He says, what part of New York? And we say, Brooklyn. He said, really? I says, why is that amazing? He says, because I used to live on Kings Highway.
The world is not so small.
The world is not so small. Here's the maitre d' in the Cairo restaurant that lived in Brooklyn on Kings Highway.
And Fabian?
I guess one of my favorite trips was actually going to the south of France. I remember going there the first time with you.
I remember.
Actually.
Oh, that was fun.
That was a long time ago. And then going back many years, in a row, practically about 14 years, going back for Midem, which was a music exposition in the Croisette.
I remember.
And I just love the south of France. The French Riviera is really, when you get there, it's peaceful. The people are loving. They're warm. You don't get all the backlash you get in the United States of the racism and everything. People are just people.
And it was beautiful.
They accept you as you are. If you're friendly and warm, they're friendly and warm. And it's a beautiful, beautiful landscape. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that leads me on to my next question. Can you recall the most bizarre travel experience that you've had? Who wants to go first?
Well, I can. Let me jump on that one first.
Okay,
and
Steve.
My most bizarre travel experience was my most recent.
I want to hear this.
This was just weeks ago.
Oh, bizarre.
So I was traveling with our host, and we're in Vail, Colorado.
I remember.
So we decide for a number of reasons not to go whitewater rafting, but we have decided to go mountain biking.
Okay.
Now, I consider myself a jock, so I'm going to get on this bike. Mind you, I haven't been on a bicycle in 75 years. Okay? So I get on this bike, and I have already labeled myself Macho Man. So I'm going to ride this bike up and down this mountain, thinking that I'm still 13 years old.
Can I interject right here?
No.
You got to tell them what's on each side.
So I get on this bike, and Vicky is behind me, and so we're going down this hill, and Vicky sensibly rides down the hill holding the brake so she's not going so fast. But me, I'm going to take the hill, let gravity take me, and I get up to this rate of speed, and I turn behind me, and I don't see Vicky because there's a bend in the road. So what I do is, well, let me stop and wait for her, and I grab the brakes of the bike, forgetting that if you grab the front brake too hard, the bike is going to flip.
Oh my goodness.
So it's on this road, there's a wall over here, the cliff is over here. The bike starts to flip, and I can feel it starting to flip, and I can't stop it from flipping. And I says, I know where I'm going, but I don't want to go, but here we go. And I brace myself because after the bike flips, I don't fall on the road, I fall down the side of the cliff. And I'm sliding down this cliff.
Oh my.
And there's nothing I can do to stop. The bicycle is now a scarf. And I say, I don't want to get to the bottom because it's far. I'm going to break something. I'm going to be injured.
Oh, goodness.
And then at a period and point in time, I says, well, I'm praying for the bottom because I know when I get to the bottom, it's all going to stop.
This is true.
So I do get to the bottom, and I'm disheveled, and I'm bruised, and I'm bleeding.
Oh no.
Up on top of the road, I didn't even know that the flip released one of my sneakers, and there's my sneaker in the middle of the road. Vicky gets to the point in the road, sees the one sneaker, but she doesn't see me.
Oh, she panics. Oh my goodness.
There's a cloud of dust at the bottom down there. And there's a guy standing there by the wall, and he runs down and he helps me back up. And I'm down there, and I'm sitting, and I start wiggling stuff to make sure nothing's broken. Okay, so now I don't think anything's broken. Let me stand up. And I stand up, and I look at Vicky, and Vicky says, are you all right? And I said, I think so. But throw my sneakers so I can get up.
That's a good story. That's a really good story.
And so that was my most adventurous story.
Wow.
Well, what about you?
That kind of leads me to a similar situation when we were in Switzerland. Vicki and I, again, traveling, because we always traveled over the years. And we had rented a car, and I did all the driving on these trips. And we got to the top of a cliff, right?
A mountain.
Yeah, we were on the
Organized.
mountain. And the car, I drive a stick shift, which I always do, and that's the first car I learned to drive on. And it stopped, and we're at the top. And I have to turn around. And now I'm afraid to put it in gear because it's cliff behind us.
I remember.
And if it rolls back,
I remember.
that's it. So we sat there for what seemed like a long
eternity,
time.
an eternity.
And we looked around, and there was a bar, right? There was
a bar.
There was a bar. And one of those Swedish guys came out, or Swiss guy came out. And, Madame, I said, Monsieur, please, help, s'arrête. And he asked us to get out the car, and he turned the car around, and we drove off. That was a harrowing experience.
Yes, it was. I remember that.
I'll never forget that. That's one of the highlights of our trip that was really bizarre, because that doesn't happen normally.
No.
Why then, you know? Mm-hmm. But thank God we had a savior. Somebody was there to help us.
And James?
Well, I mean, so many different I guess so many different stories, but I think I just remember one story I did when I was in Puerto Rico many moons ago. And what happened is that being not a swimmer, and as many cruises I've done, over 25, I should know how to swim by now. But anyway, I went swimming. Well, what it is, someone showed me how to swim one time in Florida. And what happened is that the pool had it had a scale. They went 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 6. So you can basically monitor it. I didn't know pools had a drops in them. So here in Puerto Rico, I was wondering why the kids are over here and the adults on that side there having a good time.
No.
And mind you, everyone's speaking a different language, which I wasn't privy to know Spanish at the time yet. And I'm like, okay, let me get over here, and then I can move my way over there. Me going over there, I went down.
Oh, no.
Sadly.
Right. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to drown. And someone told me just to push myself back up, and I said, help! And mind you, no one, the Spanish people didn't know what I'm talking about, the mothers and kids, because I didn't speak their
language.
The language. And by coincidence, someone on the side, I did it twice. Someone on the side heard me, and the second time I said, okay, I got one more time of that. Three times been the help that the last help I guess I wouldn't get in my life. But they came and got me in the water and threw me out the water.
Now, do you know how to swim now?
A little bit.
Okay.
But not that much.
But I know you'll learn.
But it was an experience. But actually, I'm waiting for being in classes now, actually, to learn how to swim.
I would take those swimming lessons.
But that was pretty bizarre.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm here to continue.
Well, at least I was going to say you're here to tell us a story, so that's good. Which leads me to my next question. On any of your travel, was there or has there been an experience which has taken you out of your comfort zone? And can you explain it? And what did you learn? Any travels that took you out of your comfort zone?
Well, I guess I could say that my most recent trip to Senegal, West Africa, took me way out of my comfort zone.
Now, why is that, Fabian Burrell?
Well, I like to take showers daily, groom myself all the time, and in this particular trip where I stayed, we didn't always have running water. So you get up in the morning to brush your teeth, no water. You had to get it from a bucket. So that was kind of like not comfortable for me, because I like the nice things in life. I like to have everything ready and, to start. And then just the heat. Oh my goodness. It was so hot. So if you're staying in a place where there's no air conditioning and you're relying on a fan to circulate that air, it's just hot air.
So what did you learn from that experience?
I learned that probably the smartest thing to do is to always remember to find a hotel that has the accommodations that you're looking for, so that when you get there, you can live the life you're accustomed to living at home. And for two, just grin and bear it sometimes. Sometimes all you could do is just say, okay, this is what it is. Relax, enjoy.
And every country's not like you're in the United States.
Exactly.
You don't have the creature comforts that we take for granted, I guess.
And we do take them for granted.
Just like
running
the little
water,
things,
we do take
teeth.
it for granted, yes.
Well,
I learned also,
what was your most from traveling? Where were you at?
Well, I can't remember right now at this very moment, but I mean, I always find myself trying to adjust to wherever I go.
Right.
And it is what it is. Once I realize it's not the running water, drinking or having the best meal, I learned to adjust. And I learned to adjust because I know that this is not, everyone doesn't have the same thing I have back in the USA. And I don't expect them to always be at that level where I'm at. And I'm fine with it because I like experiencing cultures, and I like to be able to do the things with other people that live the way they live.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. I mean, Bahia, I went to Bahia. That's in Brazil, and Salvador Bahia. And I went to the, I guess the Met of the Hood, and I had to go to their local bus, but I was told never to speak my language, don't speak proper English, because people will know you're not from there. And you have to, if you go into their area, you want to make sure you come out, go there safely and come out of there safely.
I want to just say, I want to go on with what you're saying. I remember the most, out of my comfort zone, I went to this little country called Laos, and I went by myself. And I had a guide during the day, but at night I didn't have a guide. And I remember hearing this chanting of this music, and I wanted to go to the temple to hear the music. So the first day after the guy dropped me off, I went on my own, and I was so fearful that I went halfway and I turned around and went back to my hotel room. And I was so angry with myself that I just couldn't go to do the things that I wanted to do. Next night, I said, I'm going to do it again. This time I got up to the temple and I sat outside and I heard the music, and it was just such a wonderful feeling that I walked into town. And in my walk to town, I went to this little night market where the women didn't speak my language, I didn't speak theirs, but we communicated through sign language. I was emboldened. So then I went into the town and I ordered dinner. Thank goodness they had the pictures because I couldn't understand the curlicues, which was South language. I ordered my dinner and I walked back. And it taught me that, again, I guess what somebody had said earlier, that we're all the same. We all have commonalities. And it taught me that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, because I was perfectly safe, and I was so happy with that I did this, and it taught me to embrace like the culture and that we're all the same, and it was really good. Now I want to give it to you. What was out of your comfort zone?
I can answer this question. When I travel, I have to be in my comfort zone. So before I leave, I set everything up so that it stays within the confines. I'm not going to do anything that's going to make me uncomfortable. And fortunately, I have been able to be successful in planning so that I am never out of my comfort zone. Because especially if I'm out of the country, you have to pay attention to their rules and their laws. Sometimes they're very different from ours. So you have to be aware of these things.
Yes.
So when you travel, you have to make sure that you have planned your travel in such a way that you do not leave your comfort zone if possible. I do understand that certain things pop up unexpectedly. And I do understand that. But fortunately, I've not run into a situation like that in all my years of travel.
That's great.
That is good.
I remember one time I went to Bahia, also my first trip to Bahia, and I actually went to a black market, and I went to the black market, and I wanted to do a contemplé. I said it right? Contemplé? You know, the spiritual ceremony.
Okay.
And they knows how they always have it organized. Organized. I didn't want to go organized one. I want to go to a real one.
Real one, right.
You know, not.
Yes.
You know. And so what happened was interesting enough, I met someone that was there, and they were they knew someone in New York I knew, so that was a good connection right there. Anyway, met me. All the people that supposed to go, 10 of us supposed to go and do this thing, ended up being 3. Me
How was your
and my roommate.
experience?
What happened was that he put us in the back of a van. We driving into and took us to one house, went to a temple. They found the temple wasn't ready yet for having visitors. Took us to a home. We went to the home, and they would leave us there. I said, no, leave me here. I don't know these people. They're speaking Portuguese. I'm not going to,
Did you ever get to go?
What happened was we ended up going, so eventually we got there to the temple, actual real structured temple, and all that stuff, with the huts in the back and all that stuff, and the temple in the middle. And what happened was that they started starting to dancing and stuff like that. And then what happened was eventually they realized there were visitors there. And the word got around there were visitors there. And all we heard was pow, 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 pow. They said it's time to leave. They don't want you here.
Oh, no.
Sign to leave.
So we got in the back of the van and we was rushing out of there.
I'm sure you were. That was kind of scary.
When I got to the hotel though, I said, "Where's the cab at? We going to town to the party."
I hear you.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
That was a good story. Now I want to end with this last question for all of you. Can you say that travel has changed your life? And if so, in what way?
Travel has certainly changed my life. There is no better education than travel.
Yes.
There is no university to give you the education that you can get on the road.
This is true.
True.
Yes.
James?
Travel changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I wish I could get family members to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see what is the problem. You know, to me, to get other people to just go out there, come out their comfort zone, and just go.
That's it.
Just do something. Travel is beautiful. It's wonderful.
I think it's fear.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are fearing, but there's nothing to fear for.
It doesn't cost a lot either.
Yeah, it's very affordable.
Travel really opens you up to the world. You get to see people. You get to understand who they are.
Different
cultures. They get to know you, And it's the only thing that's going to unite us, really.
I think so too.
Travel.
It's mind-opening, and it just, you're never the same. And you know, I'm like you, James. I know a lot of people that will not travel for whatever reasons, but I know that once they do, it'll never.
Yeah, it changes you.
It changes you.
Yeah. It
changes
opens you up, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have more fun with the strangers you meet.
Yes.
My goodness, you like me.
You're like me, exactly.
So what's the last word in travel? If you had one word to describe in totality how you feel about travel.
Get out there and do it.
James?
I said live, love, and enjoy yourself.
Be open.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. That was really great. How can we get in touch with you with your events?
Or eventandtravel.com, or you can send an email to jsmgonline@gmail.com.
Okay.
And for my PR firm, it's azizaprny.com.
I want to thank my guests for this lively conversation today. I really enjoyed it immensely. This half hour went so quick. It was really lively and entertaining, and I like the way we all had different experiences, but we all have experiences which are the same. I want to thank you again for joining us. I hope you join us the next time. You can reach me at Veronica Jimenez. My website is www.newconceptsintravel.com, or you can go on my Facebook page, New Concepts in Travel. Thank you again. Until the next time, happy travels. Bye. This is Veronica Jimenez, New Concepts in Travel. And here I am in Bryant Park, one of my most favorite places in New York to come and unwind after a day at work. I love the vibe here, the music, the people, and it's just so relaxing. But I also like to talk to people about travel and why they like to travel and where they like to go. Some people like to backpack and wing it. Some people like their tours set up. Some people like to go with a group of friends. Some people like to travel solo. Whatever you like to do, I'd like to hear from you. Please go on my website and let me know how you like to travel and why you like to travel. It's at www.newconceptsintravel.com. And again, I hope you enjoyed my show. There'll be more to come, and we'll have this travel talk, and it's a great way to find out what's going on in your neighborhood and outside your neighborhood and be part of the world. Thank you so much. Bye.